Well, we had a tradition for a long time since I've been here, which is constantly going out to the pub, drinking out there, coming back to Wood Green, finishing the drinking here, crashing in bed, and then waking up the next morning angry as hell for these hangovers. So how have you guys been managing this quarantine now that we can't do any of that? Let's start with you, James. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just really like I have the sort of mentality where you just have to get on with it, don't you? Really, you just got to adapt. You have to have a routine. So I mean, for me personally, obviously, like I've obviously got my dissertation to do, my assignments. So really, that is the main priority for me. I mean, specifically, like obviously, like we go out to all these places. So I think it's more like as long as you have like a good friendship group, because I mean, there's probably about sort of 10 to 15 of us, and I think that's actually quite crucial for being in like a situation like this, that you have that sort of support mechanism around. I mean, you do have to feel for people who like live in their own sort of flats and only have one or two people, or for example, someone I know who's living by herself. So I think the crucial thing with it is like you need that sort of group around you, and obviously we're quite privileged to actually have that, but some people aren't, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you there. It's very difficult if you're alone.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh? What's your... Well, for those that don't know, we've had this ongoing thing now where every time coronavirus is mentioned, we always have to admit that Josh was always right. So we would be in the pub.
That's fucking right, mate.
We would be in the pub at Spoons, the local Spoons here, which is, for those that don't know, a chain of pubs in the UK. And we would be sitting there drinking, and Josh would be pulling out the numbers saying, "Oh my God, look what's going on in China, man, the coronavirus. It's getting bad. It's getting bad." And we'd all be like, "Oh man, you're listening to the news. They're sensationalizing everything. It's completely overdone. It's not going to be that bad. It's pretty much the flu. It's not going to spread that fast." And look, the government will enact some...
Look at that shit now, right? How does that make you feel?
It was
He's
literally
proving us wrong, that's for sure.
It was literally that. We would just laugh at him, and he'd throw out a statistic at us. We'd be like, "No, it's not that bad." And then a week later...
It's not even just you people. Fucking Johnson was sat there saying this shit as well. Like we see it the other week, he's like coming out going, "Hey, I went into the hospital and I shook every fucker's hand there." You know what I mean? But look at you now, Johnson, mate.
Can barely walk, apparently, you were saying.
Oh, wait, apparently he's made his first walk today. He's making short walks or whatever. But everyone was like, "No, he's fine. He's recovering," and all this type of stuff. Do you know what? Politically, he's not for me.
Right.
But I mean, like, I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter and Facebook, actually 50-50. Some people are saying, "Oh, he's amazing. He's doing an incredible job," which I think we know he's not doing an incredible job.
Yeah.
And you get the other half that are saying, "Oh no, he deserves this and all this." You can never say a man deserves this type of stuff. Yeah, he's got he's like a kid on the way, and he's got his missus. And to be fair, no one could have like expected this type of stuff, because he went in with this his idea, right? I want to get Brexit done. Yeah, and all this type of stuff.
That was his big priority for.
And that's what I guess he was hoping to do or whatever.
Yeah.
But now he's been hit with this fucking wave of shit that nobody thought was ever going to happen in anyone's lifetime.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
It's the first time I think the world has been in lockdown.
I just don't believe people should be giving the man shit for essentially laying on his fucking deathbed. Do you know what I mean? You can never wish that on someone.
No.
I think what it boils down to is, I mean, politically, obviously, I'm the same as Josh. I don't agree with him on anything, but from a moral, human sort of standpoint, it's never good to wish anybody death, or a politician. Like, you have to draw the line really between what is moral, which is right, and wrong.
Absolutely.
Dominic Cummings can die though. You know what I mean? That geezer,
he's a
fucking donut.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, we see that video of him running out of number 10 after came out with Johnson.
Yeah, that was insane.
Fucking wimp.
It tells you everything about that guy, who's apparently his best man or whatever.
He's a snake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's certainly a colourful character.
So, Josh, what have you been up to during this quarantine? How have you been handling things?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Andy, mate. There's been a lot of masturbation going on. A hell of a lot of masturbation. I've got to the point where I'm setting records now. I've been Googling the records, and I feel like I'm going to be overtaking them in the next couple of days or whatever. I've been emailing Guinness Book of World Records. They haven't got back to me yet, but I'm sure they may eventually.
Well, there's always competition to be the greatest. So
of course there is. Yeah, but the thing is, right, Pornhub Premium hasn't done me any favours. You know what I mean? Because I reckon after this is all over, it might fall off. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'll never be able to get hard again because like I've been looking at these videos too much. You know what I mean? Then suddenly it's all downhill. Like bring a girl back or whatever and laid in bed with her, and she's like, "Josh, what's wrong?" And it's like, I don't know if you've heard about this, but for the last 2 months, Pornhub Premium is in free.
Yeah. Have you been listening to Be a Swing podcast, girl? You know this by now. Well, as usual, I do appreciate the honesty. That's the whole point of this podcast. So,
Oh, but I mean, it's
I'm
not,
sure a lot of other people are doing the same. So,
it's not easy though. Like being locked in or whatever. Like, there's been a lot of boozing up as well.
Oh yeah.
A little bit too much boozing up, which I think we're all aware of the amount of boozing. It's not great, but at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of anxiety at the minute.
Yeah.
I know a lot of us are not showing it or whatever,
No,
but we've got anxiety with like obviously 980 deaths today.
Yeah,
But then we've all got the shit like, oh, we got to do our uni work, we got to do this, and it's all fucking coming round. And then fucking we got like management here that, well, they're just not doing a great job essentially,
want to take
in
us
our
out.
opinion.
So,
yeah.
yes, certainly a lot to deal with. But as I say, we're British. We keep calm and we carry on.
And we all made the conscious decision a couple of weeks ago to go down with the ship. Essentially, like we sat down and we thought about it, and it could be we could go home or whatever and we enjoy being with our families. But then there's a lot of people that are asymptomatic, and there's a possibility that we could pass it on to them.
Yeah.
Like I've said to you guys multiple times, me specifically, I'm not afraid of getting this virus, but I'm afraid about spreading it to other people, how they could be affected. You know what I mean? I'd never be able to forgive myself if like a loved one or whatever, I passed it on to them and then they passed away. Do you know what I mean?
That was definitely going on my mind. I had this discussion with James actually. So when this started, James was very worried about it and felt he needed to go back with his family, and and there was this looming kind of storm really. And my parents had called me several times during the day, trying to convince me to head back to New Zealand. And my big argument to James as well as to my parents was that, well, look, everyone's leaving halls anyway, so there's going to be less people in Wood Green anyway. To begin with. Secondly, I'm more likely, or anyone's more likely to risk it by traveling back when this is breaking out. And we're going back to our families, which, as you said, sounds nice, but at the same time, there is that risk of infection. And also mentally, we've already kind of started our life outside of our house, so our family home or around our family, and it's for me, the decision was also kind of personal, where it was like I'd love to see my family, obviously. But I knew that by going back, I'd miss you guys. I'd also miss London and where I was in a crucial stage of my life, essentially, second year, and going back to relying on my parents again, which obviously is lovely. But at the same time, I didn't want to do that because, it's your parents at the end of the day. You love them, but at the same time, you're basically a man now. And going back and having to depend on them again is a little bit taxing on your mind as well.
Yeah, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind, Andy.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't mind.
They wouldn't mind. They want their Antonaki
yeah, they
around
do.
them.
They do.
They want to support you. They want to share the red wine. Do you know what I mean? They want to provide for you and keep you safe.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point you make, Andy, actually, because I remember we had this discussion, must have been about 3.5 weeks ago now, and actually, yeah, strategically, it was probably best we all stayed here, from a point of exposure, from being less exposed to other people, actually, because I mean, there's only like 50 or 60 people here. Yeah, you actually do make a valid point about being asymptomatic. You could go home and infect, your loved ones who are like obviously in their 50s and 60s. So actually strategically, like for us, actually all of us, it is actually better we stay put. And touch wood, so far, it's paid off, I think.
Exactly. I mean, we were talking about this literally today as well, you and me. How, whether or not we've had it or not, we don't know. But if we've had it, are we asymptomatic, or is it just the exposure that we've had to coronavirus that is the reason why we haven't had it that badly? Or if it's surprising that even though, as you said, 900 cases today, we haven't actually felt that. We've felt the physical side of things, where it's been like, we can't go to the cafes anymore like we used to. We can't go, to the pub at night. We can't sit down at like a nice little restaurant outside. We have to do everything like by ourselves. But where is we haven't actually physically, literally been affected by anything.
I mean, I mean, like we all always go on about this, don't we?
Well, about
You
the
know,
coronavirus, sorry.
end-
The mental health side is
no,
also
no,
taxing.
not in terms of that. I mean, we always say like, when was it? At the end of January, February, we all like said we had something in terms of the fever and the cough. So who knows? Like maybe we did have it, maybe we didn't. But like I think the crucial thing with all of this is, and this is actually a thing from previous sort of governments, what they've been doing. Like you need to do the testing.
Yeah.
And in terms of like not just the testing, in terms of the antibodies, and then obviously you distinguish who has had it and who has not, and then obviously you can sort of like come to a conclusion about when to lift the lockdown and like which specific demographics as well.
I'll tell you one thing about this fucking coronavirus shit that's pissed me off incredibly is well, you compare it to Germany's approach to this type of stuff, right? The amount, like I heard they was doing like 500,000 tests a week, and they've had over 100,000 cases, but they've only had like 3,000 deaths. Now, that because of the amount of testing that they've been doing, if you compare it to us, if these people are coming up as positive or whatever, they can get them into hospital sooner, and then they can start like relieving the symptoms or whatever. We're not doing any fucking testing hardly at all. So it's no wonder that we've got having so many fucking deaths. Do you know what I mean? It's disgusting.
It's also the communication. For me, what the big problem was that the moment. So I remember the day when I started to realize this is actually serious, and it was with you, Josh. It was at the coffee shop at Lucia's, and I'd just come out of handing in this assignment, which I got my results back today. And
Was this the one when you felt ill?
No, that was a week
bad.
before, and that was me like being like, oh my god, do I have it?
Yeah, but you looked a bit shocked at that point. Like, this man was pale Saturday, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he started coughing, and I was like, "You know this coronavirus? It's getting quite serious."
And I
was
love
like, "No, I ain't got it."
Yeah.
And I showed him like some statistic or something, and the geezer went translucent. You know what I mean? Like, it was pale, and then he just disappeared. It's like those memes or whatever where they just disappear.
Just slowly disappear. Yeah, that was definitely. I do remember that day. But that at that point, I wasn't really in the mindset to take it seriously. Not that I wasn't taking you seriously, but at that point, I was just thinking, "Fuck, I need to get home." The last thing I need is to hear Josh rubbing in my face, "I've got coronavirus. I'm gonna die." Because I asked him, I was like, "Is it lethal?" And it was like, and he just gave me this look of, "Well, people are dying, mate." So it wasn't helpful, and I was just fucking tired and whatever. So I went back the next week. I had an assignment due the following Wednesday. I finally submitted it. Got my results back, by the way. Did pretty well. But anyway,
Congratulations.
thank you. I handed it in. I felt pretty good about myself, and I saw Josh and I was like, "Hey man, do you want to get coffee?" And he was like, "All right, let's go." So we went down. We sat down, and I was saying, "Yo, so how you been? How's everything?" He was like, "Mate, shit, you're not listening. Coronavirus, mate. We've had 2 cases in the UK already." And I was like, 2 cases? He's like, "Have you not seen what's happening in Italy?" And I was like, "What's happening in Italy?" And he pulled out the phone, and they've had 2,000 cases. And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Bro, they're going on lockdown, mate. It's going to spread here. It's going to spread here." And I start like thinking, "Holy shit, this is actually happening." And then I think literally the following week we were on lockdown.
Yeah, I know, but lockdown. I mean, what is this lockdown? I know. Me and you and James actually, we had this conversation the other week. And I was looking at like Heathrow's arrivals and departures or whatever,
God, yeah.
which actually today it was mentioned on the briefing, like why are these flights still coming in or whatever. But to put it in context for people that are listening, like last week or the week before, there was something like 15 flights arriving from Italy daily, and something like 15 flights arriving from Spain as well. And a lot of these people that was coming in was saying that there's no checks when they arrive or something, like they're walking straight in and going straight on the tube and just traveling out. And I'm thinking, what the hell? You know what I mean? Today, it was actually brought up, but it didn't seem like they had a good enough argument for why this was still happening to this day.
What did they say?
I can't remember like 100%, but I'm sure it's on the BBC thing. But anyway, it's like, what is lockdown, essentially? Because it seems like it's a very open term. Yeah. Okay, you're going to go for a jog once a day.
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to prove that we've only been out once?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like in France, they have a letter or whatever that says that they're like key workers or they've only been out once or something like that. I noticed it like yesterday they changed it so they're not allowed to jog in the daytime now.
Right.
Like there's an actual fucking
Holy shit.
thing to stop them from going out, and because we're having more deaths here, I feel like we should be a little bit stricter, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Following on from Josh's point, I mean, with the lockdown, I mean, it's not exactly sort of clear cut. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't think it is actually a full lockdown. Because obviously, it's kind of baffling how we have like obviously over 900 deaths, and the government regulation laws are saying we can go out for one piece of exercise, but who's to say like you could potentially infect other people, or other people could infect you. And it's actually been proven now, like they've done modelling actually, that 2 meters in terms of social distancing actually is not effective. It's probably more like sort of 6 meters, which is sort of effective. So the government regulations actually don't sort of tie in with the sort of modelling which is now happening. So there seems to be some sort of inconsistencies with what the government are actually saying and what the science is saying. It's either, like, my opinion on it is, it's either it is a lockdown or it is not a lockdown. There's no in between. You need, in my personal opinion, listen, I'm all for like freedom, open borders, but you really like to get a grip on this. It's obviously clear from the scientific evidence that you need to have a full lockdown.
Yeah.
So what they're saying, that they're following the best science at every stage. I mean, like, whose science are they following then? Because you just got to look at the other countries around the world to see that.
Explain word for word that video you sent about the ventilators that you sent us.
Oh, right, yeah. So essentially, Michael Gove came out and he said, well,
This essentially sums up exactly what you guys are talking about.
Yeah,
the ineptitude of the government at the
there's a
moment.
lot of lies. Do you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I don't think it even is just lies. I think they just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, Michael Gove came out, was it a couple of weeks ago now? Something like that. He was like, yes, guys, we've set it all up. By the weekend, there'll be 30,000 brand new ventilators, and they're being made by Dyson and McLaren. So you've got nothing to worry about when it comes to quality there, guys. Anyway, weekend hits. We're all sat there waiting around for the new ventilators and all this type of shit. Brilliant. We're all gonna live, guys. We're all gonna live. And the news reporter came out. I was like, oh, news, just breaking news, guys. Breaking news. The ventilators have arrived.